Kenya is often viewed as one of the most stable democracies in East Africa, but recent events paint a more complicated picture. While the country has made significant strides in establishing democratic systems, incidents like the controversy over Butere Girls High School's drama play show that its democratic credentials are not as solid as they might seem. The Butere Girls drama team made headlines when their play, Echoes of War, was banned from participating in national competitions. The reason? Authorities claimed the play could embarrass First Lady Rachel Ruto. The play, which dealt with themes of political power and conflict, was deemed too controversial. The drama team took the matter to court and won, but the case raised questions about how much freedom of expression is really allowed in Kenya, particularly when it conflicts with the political interests of those in power. This incident is just one example of the tensions between democracy and political control in Kenya. The government has a history of exerting influence over public institutions, and this situation exposed how easily artistic expression can be suppressed when political figures feel threatened. Though the court's ruling was a victory for free speech, it doesn't erase the fact that the country's democratic system is still vulnerable to political pressures. In terms of public opinion, Kenyans overwhelmingly express support for democracy. A 2023 survey showed that 73% of Kenyans prefer democracy over other forms of governance. This puts Kenya ahead of many countries, including the United States and China. However, a closer look at the survey results reveals a troubling divide. While older generations are more likely to favor democracy, younger Kenyans, especially those aged 18 to 35, are less convinced. Nearly 42% of young people indicated they would be open to military rule. This shift in attitude reflects the frustration many young Kenyans feel with the country's political system, which they see as failing to deliver on promises of opportunity and progress.
Mimi nimekuja leo mbali na kufungua hiyo college ili iweze kutumika kwa wanafunzi wa Isili, wa Kamukunji na Nairobi.
Despite public support for democracy, Kenya's performance in global democracy rankings tells a different story. In the 2023 Democracy Index, Kenya ranked 14th in Africa, behind countries like Tanzania. Concerns about electoral integrity, civil liberties, and the overall functioning of the democratic system have kept Kenya from achieving a top-tier status. Issues such as allegations of electoral fraud, corruption, and the manipulation of democratic processes continue to undermine the public's trust in elections. While some reforms have been made, the country still struggles with the perception that its democratic processes are flawed and unreliable. Kenya also faces persistent challenges in governance and the rule of law. The 2022 Ibrahim Index of African Governance showed that Kenya's scores on key governance indicators, like security, judicial independence, and the fight against corruption, have deteriorated in recent years. Corruption remains rampant, with politicians and government officials often implicated in scandals that undermine public confidence in democratic institutions.
It is too much corruption in this country, so we want the government to take charge. We want the president to declare it as a national disaster. We are running out of patience.
Today we are here as Kenyans who believe in the change. When we look at every corner of this country, corruption is causing a lot of problems in this country.
We've grown up with corruption throughout our lives, and I think a lot of people are sick of it, but they don't have a vehicle on which to use to express their opinions. So that's why we try organizing things like this so that people actually have something that they can use to voice their frustration.
While there have been efforts to tackle corruption, the problem is deeply ingrained, and many Kenyans feel that the fight is more about political theater than real change. Kenya's democratic struggles aren't new. The country's history is marked by several incidents that raise serious concerns about its commitment to democratic values. For example, in 2018, the government imposed a media blackout, preventing coverage of political rallies and speeches critical of the government. This action showed just how far the government was willing to go to suppress dissent and control the narrative. In addition, the deportation of opposition figures and the harassment of journalists further illustrate how vulnerable Kenya's democracy is to political manipulation. While Kenya has made progress in establishing democratic institutions, the political system still suffers from serious flaws. The judiciary, while independent on paper, is often seen as susceptible to political pressure.
Very short, because what I wanted to say has been said by many of the speakers who have spoken before me. And I want to say, since my nomination was announced, it was aptly described by many as a momentous occasion in the history of this country. And indeed it is, because this is what...
The Electoral Commission, tasked with overseeing elections, is frequently accused of bias and corruption. These issues prevent Kenya from fully realizing its democratic potential and leave many citizens disillusioned with the political system. Another major issue is the concentration of political power in the hands of a few elite families. Although Kenya is a multi-party democracy, the political landscape is dominated by a small group of powerful political dynasties. This centralization of power limits political competition and often excludes marginalized groups from the decision-making process. As a result, the benefits of democracy are not equally shared, and many Kenyans feel left out of the political system. In conclusion, Kenya's democracy is a work in progress. While there have been notable achievements, such as the peaceful transition of power in recent elections, the country still faces significant challenges. From censorship and restrictions on freedom of speech to corruption and electoral fraud, there are many obstacles that prevent Kenya from being the true democracy it aspires to be. To strengthen its democratic institutions, Kenya will need to address these issues head-on. This includes ensuring a fair and transparent electoral process, tackling corruption at all levels of government, and promoting greater political inclusion. Only by addressing these challenges can Kenya move closer to achieving the democracy its citizens deserve.